Hey there, nation. Welcome to the show where we show you how to show miniatures wargaming on a budget. I am Commander CheapSkate, and this is another edition of our Battle Reports. Battle Report number 15. It is I, Commander CheapSkate of the Schwarzwald Free Companies, which is basically the Empire, versus my opponent, Fresh Prince Bel-Air of the House Laenel of Calador, which is an High Elf army. So this is a 3,000 point battle, and let's see what happens when we try to put these two together. Alright, so the horns of war have been blown, so let's go on and talk about the Schwarzwald Free Companies. So this is our 3,000 point Empire army, so let's start with the Lord and Heroes choices. First of all, we have Gregor von Drachenfels, the Grim Archlector. He is an Archlector armed with a great weapon and is equipped with the armor of meteoric iron as well as a Dawnstone, so he is the general for this army. Following him comes Victor Hellsbrad of the Wilds. He is a Battle Wizard Lord with a level 4 upgrade. Next comes Hauptmann Hans Jaeger and Königswinter, which is a Captain of the Empire. He's equipped with full plate armor, a lance, and a Pegasus, as well as a Talisman Preservation and a Charm Shield. So his job is to basically work the backfield and to take care of chaff and war machines. Our next character is Hauptmann Dieter Munz, the Griffin Guard. He is a Captain of the Empire with full plate armor, a great weapon, Battle Standard Bearer upgrade, and he's equipped with the Griffin Standard. Next, we have Sir Tybalt Kraus, the Vagrant Knight. He is a Captain of the Empire with full plate armor, great weapon, shield, Barter Warhorse, and the Crown of Command. We have another wizard named Maximilian the Max. He's a battle wizard with a level 2 upgrade and a Dispel Scroll. And then following up our character choices is Father Obadiah the Terrifying. He is a warrior priest with heavy armor, great weapon, warhorse with barding, and the terrifying Mask of E. Now I come to our core choices. Our first core choice, the Vagrant Brotherhood, is 19 Knights of the Order with Standard Bearer, Musician, Inner Circle Knights upgrade, as well as the Steel Standard. Our next core choice is the Queen's Rangers, which is 10 archers, and they have 2 detachments of 5 archers apiece. And our final core choice is Rommel's Rangers, which are basically just 12 archers. Our special choice is one massive unit called the Black Company. It consists of 38 great swords. It has a standard bearer, musician, and the standard of discipline. And it also has 2 detachments as well. The Red Company, which has 20 halberdiers, and the Blue Company, which also has 20 halberdiers. Our next special choice is Blitzen, which is a great cannon. And finally, our rare choices is Donner, the Hellblaster volley gun, and the Panzer Baron, which is our steam tank. And that brings our grand spanking total to 2,998 points. Alright, now it's time for us to talk about House Laenel, the Silvery Host of Calador, which is a 3,000 point High Elf army. So let's start off with Lords and Heroes choices. Our very first Lord is Prince Timon Laenel. He is a High Elf Prince with Dragon Armor, Shield, Bard and Elven Steed, Talisman of Preservation, the Ogre Blade, as well as the other Trickster Shard, so kind of like your general High Elf Combat Lord. Our next Lord choice is Archmage Titus Laenel. He is a Archmage with a level 4 upgrade with a Talisman of Endurance and the Book of Asher. Our next character is Lord Tanis Laenel. He is a noble with heavy armor, shield, great weapon, as well as a lion cloak, and he is the Battle Standard Bearer upgrade, no magic banner. And our final character choice is Rossan Laenel and Pyrium, who is a Dragon Mage of Calador. He has a level 2 upgrade, dragon armor, enchanted shield, sword of might, and Dawnstore. So he's actually kind of like a kitted out for combat kind of Dragon Mage. Kind of just see how that guy works. Our coin choices basically consist of 2 units of 5 Illyrian Reaver Knights. The first one's called the Everqueen's Rangers. They're armed with spears, short bows, light armor, and shields. And the Illyrian Rangers, which has 5 Illyrian Reaver Knights, spears, short bows, as well as light armor, and as well as shields. Our next core choice is the Eagle Guard. It has 12 archers, full command, and a light armor. And the next one is the Griffin Guard, which has full command. It consists of 12 archers as well as having light armor in that one as well. And our final core choice is House Laenel Guards, which is 9 silver helms with a series of full command. Our special choices are the Everwardens, which are 15 white lions of trace with full command and the standard discipline. The Sad Flutes, which are 20 Swordmasters of Hoeth with full command and a banner of eternal flame. And our last special choice is Lord Laenel's the Retinue with 22 Phoenix Guards, which has full command and the banner of the World Dragon. And then our rare choice is the Reigns of Calador, which are 2 Eagle Call Bloodthorns, and that basically brings our total up to 2,995 points. Alright, so let's talk about deployment. This is the Empire deploying on the left-hand flank, so here's the Schwarzwald Free Companies. On the very left-hand side, they have Hans Jaeger and Königswinter, which is the Pegasus Knight Captain. He's taking cover behind the house there to kind of sweep up to the left there of the High Elf army. Right beneath him, you have Blitzen, which is the Great Cannon. He's kind of stationed out in the back to start taking pot shots at enemy forces. Right up at the front there is Panzerbaron, which is the steam tank. He's kind of there to hold off the left-hand flank there to kind of secure the center. And on the right-hand side, with that massive unit of 21 figures, is the fully painted unit, the Vagrant Brotherhood, which is basically 19 Inner Circle Knights armed with lances and spears. In that unit, you also have Sir Tybalt Kraus, which is the mounted captain of the Empire, as well as Odebiah the Terrifying, which is the warrior priest with the terrifying mask of E. And this picture kind of shows the Empire deploying the center. As you can see, there's really not much in the center, really, per se. It's kind of empty. We're going kind of like a pincer attack kind of style on this battle. The idea is to secure the flanks on this one, so there really isn't anything in the center on this picture. And here's deployment for the right-hand flank, which is near the city. Starting from left to right, you have the Blue Company, which is the Halberdier detachment, supported by the Queen's Rangers detachment there in front of them. In the center, they have a huge block of 38 greatswords, the Black Company. That's also where the Archlector, Gregor the von Drachenfels, as well as the Captain Dieter Munz is also located at. Also in front of them are also Queen's Rangers. To the right of them is the Red Company, which is another detachment of Halberdiers with the Queen's Rangers. Behind them in blue with the Wizards, Maximilian Max, as well as the Rommel's Rangers. On the very far right-hand side there, you have Donner, which is the Hellblaster volley gun. Alright, and this is High Elves deployment on the left-hand flank. On the left, you have the Reigns of Calidor, which are the two bolt throwers. In the center, you have Lord Laenel's Guard, which are basically Prince Tywin Laenel, as well as 9 of his Silverhelms. Behind them, you have the Everqueen Guard, I believe is what they're called, the Archers, as well as the Griffin Guard. And those are the 12 Archers behind them. So they're kind of making up the left-hand flank and somewhat the center as well. My opponent kind of went for a pincer attack as well on this one. And this is a picture of the High Elves deployment in the center as well as the right flank as well. As I said before, their center is kind of weak. On the left-hand side there, you have the Shad Flutes, which are the great swords with the Banner of Eternal Flame. Right next to them to the right-hand side is Lord Laenel's retinue, which basically consists of the 22 Phoenix Guard. In that unit, you also have the Battle Standard Bearer, as well as the Archmage, which is Tytos, the level 4 mage. Right next to them, you have the 2 units of Illyrian Reavers, the Everqueen's Rangers, as well as the Illyrian Rangers. Behind them, you have the 15 White Lions, which are the Everwardens. And hiding out right there at the end, behind the tree, is the Ruslan and Imperium. They are the Dragon Major Calidor. And that is deployment on this side of the board. And with deployment out of the way, that brings us to the Vanguard movements. So as you can see in this picture, we're starting to see the Vanguard moves, which are basically the 2 Illyrian Reavers. You can see the Everqueen's Rangers kind of heading down the center here on the left-hand side of this building. And paralleling them on the right-hand side is the Illyrian Rangers. Those are the other Reaver Knights as well. They're paralleling on the right-hand side of that building. So that makes the Vanguard moves for this battle. And that takes us to the top of High Elves, turn number 1.
Give them nothing, but take from them everything!
As you can see in this picture, the Everqueen's Rangers basically charge right into my left-hand unit, sorry, not my left-hand unit, my right-hand unit of the detachments for the Queen's Rangers, the Archers right in front of the Red Company there. And on the right-hand side there, you can see that the Illyrian Rangers have charged into my Hellblaster volley gun. So Donner's basically put out of commission now. So much for trying to shoot at my opponents as well. In the backfield there, you can see the Everwardens as well as Lord Laenel's retinue, as well as the Sad Flutes kind of marching forward there on that side of the board. And in this picture, you can see that the Sad Flutes on the right-hand side have also marched forward as well, kind of skirting those hedges on the edge of the village on the right-hand side. The Archer units, the Griffin Guard as well as the Eagle Guard, basically decided to stay back and kind of hold the center there with their long bows. And on the left-hand side there, you see Laenel and his his Silverhelms kind of not really march forward. They kind of move up only the 8 inches. I would think he was afraid of marching all the way forward because First Prince Belair was afraid I was going to charge in the very first round if I could. And he was absolutely right to keep him back because if I had it my way, I would have charged him. So that is movement for the High Elves in this turn. And that brings us to the beginning of the magic phase for the High Elves for turn number 1.
Hadouken!
Unfortunately for my opponent, I was able to dispel for most of his spells, except for the very last one, which is Soul Quench. So Tytos Laenel aims carefully at my Queen's Rangers right there in the center and basically let him have it, and they end up killing 4 of my Archers right off the bat. So that is a magic phase pretty much for this battle so far. And that brings us to the beginning of turn number 1 shooting phase for the High Elves.
This is my boomstick!
And I totally underestimate the killing capacity of high elf bolt throwers. I forgot that the high elf bolt thrower for single shot was strength 6, which is basically puts on equal par with the toughness from my steam tank. So luckily for me though, the first shot missed, but the second shot hit me right dead in center. And then once they rolled to wound, it hit the wound, and they rolled for the wound down. I forgot that it's D3 wounds on top of that once they hit you the one time already. So they inflict one wound on me, luckily for me. But I also remember now that my steam tank is now in perfect prime position to being shot to pieces by the Reigns of Calidor. So now I got to do some shuffling and moving with my Panzer Baron if I want to survive the battle.
Give them nothing, but take from them everything!
And that brings us to combat phase for turn 1 of the High Elves. As you can see in this picture, the on the right hand side, the Illyrian Rangers managed to kill 2 of my crew members from my Hellblaster volley gun, so that was kind of sad. And in the center there, you can see that the Everqueen Rangers actually kill 4 of my archers, so that was pretty sad on that part too, for that detachment. Luckily for me, though, that one archer held out, and not only that, but that archer also managed to get a wound left on that unit as well, so that was kind of nice. And that takes us to Empire turn number 1. So we start with the movement phase on this one. As you can see here, Rommel's Rangers basically kind of scrub the right-hand side to give support to the Hellblaster volley gun. In case of the Legion Reavers kind of just destroy that unit, they can charge right into Rommel's Rangers. As you can see, my declared charges, the Red Company charged right into the gap that was left behind by the Queen's Rangers that were killed by the Legion Reavers in that picture, so they're in close combat. In the center, the Black Company kind of shuffles in order to prepare itself to receive a charge into the flank of the Legion Reavers. The Queen's Rangers center basically moves up forward and turns around to get a perfect flank charge there in the rear, as well as the other unit of Queen's Rangers moves up to the left-hand side and kind of blocking positions in case the Phoenix Guard are feeling kind of squirrely. And then, of course, you have the Blue Company on the left-hand side. They're kind of holding down the flank just in case anything should happen. In the center picture here, as you can see here, I basically charge in the Vagrant Brotherhood into the Sad Flutes, and we actually make successful charge. So all 21 mounted figures charge right into that unit of 20 Swordmasters. So that was kind of nice. And in this picture, Panzer Baron basically generates 3 steam points, but only moves up to about 3 inches, so it's just kind of chugging along its way towards House Lanel Guards over there with the Silverhelm Knights. And as you can see, Hans Jaeger and Königswinter, they march forward into smack dab into the opening. I'm not too concerned with that character because he does have the Charm Shield. I'm kind of banking on the hope that my opponent will shoot at the steam tank instead of my captain, but we'll see how that turns out. Let's see if that gamble works out. So that is movement for this phase. Unfortunately for me, Magic Phase ended up being a total wash and a complete waste of time because Lord Titos, which is the Archmage, has the Book of Asher. So no matter what I try to do, he basically has a level 5 Dispel right off the bat, and he was able to chop down all my spells. So because that magic was kind of a wash. And that brings us directly into the shooting phase for this turn.
This is my boomstick!
I generated 4 steam points with Panzer Baron at the beginning of the turn, and so for my last remaining steam point, I basically pump into the Great Cannon to fire a Grape Shot at the Silverhelms, and we just wipe off 6 of those guys right off the bat. So all that's left over is Lord Tywin, as well as 3 of his Silverhelms, so that was kind of cool. And with shooting over, that brings us over to the combat phase.
Give them nothing, but take from them everything!
And as you can see in this picture, basically we defeat those the great swords, the swordmasters. They managed to get a score of 10 on me. They inflicted 2 wounds with their rank as well as their standard. But lucky for me, though, I inflicted 9 wounds on top of them, combined with charge as well as rank, as well as my standard bearer being inside there. We beat them by 2. They roll out of the box. They roll like a 9. So because of they fail their panic check and they try to flee, and of course we're cavalry, so we just run them down with Swiss Stride and we just eliminate that entire unit. So the sad flutes are no more. And that basically allows me to get the combat reform to kind of face to hit the flank of the archers for my next turn. So yeah, that was kind of nice. Unfortunately for me, combat didn't do so well here. Donner, the Hellblaster, basically got destroyed by the Illyrian Reavers, and they charged right into Rommel's Rangers there on the right-hand side, so that was kind of nice. So that's what happened in that picture. Unfortunately, the last of the Queen's Guard of Queen's Rangers, he gets killed off, that archer does, and the Illyrian Reavers managed to kill one of my halberdiers in the Red Company, but the Red Company in return managed to destroy that entire unit of Everqueen's Rangers. So because of that, Illyrian threat is now taken care of. And with a swift combat reform after that, the Red Company turns around to face the rear of the the Illyrian Rangers, who are faced up against Rommel's Rangers. So we're sitting the red coming up for a rear charge on that unit any day now. The rest of the center of the Queen's Rangers turns to face the oncoming Phoenix Guard and plan to intercept them and kind of do what the skirmishers do best, and that kind of like block them and try to delay our opponents. So yeah, that's that picture. And that takes us to the beginning of High Elves turn number 2. And this picture kind of shows you the beauty of how the detachment system works. So my opponent sends in the Lord Linnell's retinue, which is the Phoenix Guard unit, charging into the Queen's Rangers, which are the main guys there in the center. So I, of course, stand and receive the charge. But because of the Empire's detachment rules, I have what's called countercharge, which means that one of my detachments can now make a countercharge directly to the unit that charged its parent unit. So you can see in that picture I have the Phoenix Guard in L shape. So even though the Phoenix Guard have a huge amount of rank bonus on my guys, because my detachment is able to flank into the left-hand side of there, those rank bonuses count for nothing, and so they're disrupted. So no matter how this combat goes, they get no rank bonuses whatsoever. So that was kind of like a nice aspect of the detachment system there. So as you can see in that picture, that's the charge here on the right-hand side of the board. And in this picture, the archers decided to get squirrely and decided to charge the knights before I got a chance to charge them. So one unit of archers charges the front of my knights while the other unit charges into my flank. Which is kind of sad because when cavalry gets charged, it's never a good thing when that happens. So I don't get any strength bonuses used for lances in this one. So I'm trying to think maybe I should equip these guys with great weapons instead, so that way they get the +2 strength bonus all the time. But c'est la vie. So we'll see how this combat works out. I'm thinking they're going to be doing okay, though, because they have heavy armor, barding, as well as shields versus strength 3 attacks, so this unit should be aces. And that takes us to moving this picture. As you can see here, Lord Tywin, as well as the remaining of his Silverhelms, kind of angle themselves in such a way in order to get a charge in or to receive a charge from Captain Hans Jaeger as well as Königswinter. So I'm not sure what my opponent was trying to do on that side, but it looks like he was trying to put himself in a position in order to either charge or receive a charge, so that way he's not flanked on that one. So that's movement for the High Elves in this turn. Unfortunately for Fresh Prince Bel-Air, House Laenel had basically a horrible magic phase. They rolled 2 dice. All they got was a 1 and a 2. So they had 3 dice. I had 2. I channeled 2 more dice on top of that. So every single spell they tried to cast, I was managed to dispel. So because of that, magic phase ended pretty quickly. And that brings us to the beginning of the shooting phase.
This is my boomstick!
And in this picture, as you can see here, they inflict 2 more wounds on me. So both throwers hit. Luckily for me, though, the both throwers only managed to inflict 1 wound apiece on Panzer Baron. So because of that, we dropped from 9 wounds all the way down to 7. So now I'm starting to realize now that maybe putting my steam tank here was actually kind of a bad idea. Looking back, maybe I should have put my steam tank right in the center of town, so that way he was end up blocking the entire central axis of the village. But hindsight's always 20/20. But yeah, that shooting phase in this picture.
He didn't fall? Inconceivable! You keep using the word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
And this picture shows that I should have never doubted myself when these archers were foolish enough to charge into a full standing unit of knights. The elves only managed to kill 1 of my knights. I, in return, managed to kill 1 elf on the flank, and I kill something like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 elves in the front. So because of that, we just kind of smashed right through those elves. So once again, it shows you the importance of how heavy armor can use to go up against strength 3 elves. So that was pretty awesome. Those poor High Elves, they needed to roll under a 5 in order to stay, but they rolled something like a 9 or an 8, and so because of that, that unit of archers that charge my front turn around and they flee, and they roll boxcars. They run off right off the edge of the table, so that's 1 unit not to worry about. And so because I won combat, I did this quick, swift combat reform, and I bring the full weight of my knights onto that flanking unit of elves, so next round combat should look a little bit different on this one. And coming on this side with the Queen's Rangers versus the Phoenix Guard, it went as well as you could expect. I failed to inflict a single wound on that unit of Phoenix Guard. They managed to kill 2 of my flanking Rangers who were hitting on the flanks there with the attachment. They exterminated the Ranger of the Queen's Rangers in the front. So basically, I lost by 8. And so since I was within range of my unit Standard Bearer, I rolled to get that, and I rolled Snake Eyes on that one. So because of that, those 3 archers who are on the flank are still sticking it out. Those crazy SOBs, they didn't care that all their friends got slaughtered. They're holding off for dear life, and they're gonna stick it right there in that flank. And to me, that was just freaking epic. My opponent decides not to turn to face those guys with combat reform, and wisely so, because then he exposes his flank. So he's just sitting there with a group of archers holding up his flank. Combat for the Rommel's Rangers also went kind of poorly as well. They lost 6 of the Rangers, and the Illyrian Reavers lost 2. It was kind of a miracle, just really good die rolling on my part. I rolled a 3, so because of that, Rommel's Rangers basically stays put right where they're at, and we managed to go kill 2 Illyrian Reavers where we're at it. So that was kind of nice. So next turn though, these Reavers are going to die because I plan on sending the Red Company right to their back, and they're just going to get chopped to pieces. So that brings us to the movement phase on this one. Unfortunately for me, the Blue Company, which is the left-hand attached to the Halberdiers, wasn't in a really good position to kind of charge at the Phoenix Guard. So because of that, I kind of marched them forward to kind of put them in this weird kind of blocking angle to make sure that the Phoenix Guard can't charge into my Black Company of Great Swords. That way I can kind of control the level of the engagement. So that was kind of nice. On the right-hand side there, the Red Company of Halberdiers charged to the rear of the Illyrian Reavers. And so that's pretty much the movement on this side of the board. Just keeping the Black Company just kind of centered because in a minute here, I'm either got to deal with a unit of Phoenix Guard or White Lines, or in worst case scenario, both. Because even though you can't see it, on the other side of that building there in the center, that's where Rosum Imperium are located at, which is the Dragon Major Calidor. So I also got to deal with that on this side as well. So let's see how that turns out. So in this picture, Königswinter and Hans Jaeger, they charge right into the first of the Reigns of Calidor, which is the bolt thrower there, and I generate 4 steam points for Panzer and basically he chugs forward again. I rolled like a 4. It was like a ridiculous amount. I rolled like a 1, another 1, and like a 2. So because of that, Panzer only managed to roll up 2 more inches, but I still have 2 more steam points left over. Well, sorry, not 2 more steam points, 1 more steam point left over, which gives me kind of thinking maybe I should either hit him with a flaming attack with the breath weapon with the steam gun, or maybe hit him again with grape shot. So we'll see how that goes next turn. Alright, so now we enter the magic phase. So what I decided to do is my Metal Wizard Mages will get off the Golden Hounds for the Lore of Metal, which for Maximilian Max, he was the supporting wizard in this battle, so he had a level 2 mage with the Lore of Metal. We open up on, since I wanted to originally hit the mage, but I realized the mage didn't wear any armor, so it wasn't going to do any damage to him. So we decided to direct the attack again against the Standard Bearer instead, so we managed to kill the Standard Bearer on that one as well. And we also managed to roll off Searing Doom on this unit as well. I only got to kill 1 Phoenix Guard because of their freaking ward saves, but what are you going to do? So 1 less Phoenix Guard to worry about, and 1 half-wounded Standard Bearer, so I'll take it. Oh, and I forgot to mention, I also cast Shield of Thorns on those last 3 archers who are in the flank there, so they are literally a thorn in the side of the Phoenix Guard. You see what I did there? And with that, that takes us to the shooting phase.
This is my boomstick!
And I decided to go with the steam gun instead, so I went with the breath weapon against that unit of Silverhelms. We killed all the Silverhelms, and we managed to inflict 1 wound on Tywin Lanell at the same time. So that guy is 1 wound down already. So shooting phase looking pretty square on this side of the board.
Give them nothing, but take from them everything!
In the combat phase, Hans Jaeger and Königswinter make short work of one of the Reigns of Calidor. They destroy that bolt thrower crew, and they overrun into the tower to where they take on the second bolt thrower crew right there in the top. So that's combat on this side of the board. And combat on this side of the board went basically splendid. We killed almost all the High Elf archers except for the last 3. They panic and they flee. Instead of pursuing, though, I decided to restrain because I wanted to give some support to my infantry units on the right-hand flank. So I do a quick, swift combat reform for my knights, turn them around 180, and I basically walk them up 8 inches for their movement allowance. So that way they can kind of get through the village, get to the backside of the village, and then charge them from the rear and maybe take the Phoenix Guard and pincer attack with either my great swords or my halberdiers catching them in the center with my knights tracking in the rear. So that's what happened with combat in this picture. And you are looking at the MVP of this entire battle right now. Even with Shield of Thorns, the Phoenix Guard, I wasn't able to cause any damage at all against the Phoenix Guard. But man, this guy, man, he was crazy. Okay, so the Phoenix Guard attacked this flanking unit. They kill all the archers except for this last guy in the purple. And this guy managed to stick it out. And what's better, the guy passes his leadership test as well, and he gets snake eyes. So because of that, this guy is still being a thorn in the side of the Phoenix Guard. So he's occupying this unit for 1 more round. So that has to be like the greatest like archer of all time. He is like made of pure adamantium. That guy can do no wrong in my opinion. So that dude is like definitely the best. And with the Red Company helping out Rommel's Rangers, we were able to finish up the last of the Illyrian Reavers on the right-hand side. Because we won combat, we completely wiped out the enemy. I do a quick combat reform with my Red Company. They turn to face the oncoming Everwardens, which are the 15 White Lions are now coming down the pike on that right-hand side, right between the building as well as the edge of the table edge there. So because of that, I have 2 special elite units coming my way, 1 big giant block of Phoenix Guard, 1 big block of White Lions. So if I'm lucky, I'm going to try to block both those units for a little while with my units of Halberdiers and try to hold them on until my Knights can come to support my my great swords before it gets any worse. And with that, that brings the beginning of High Elves turn number 3. As I said before, Piriam and Rosan Laenel, which are the Dragon Mage of Kalador, were actually behind that building there in the center. This turn, they rolled for charge. They successfully charged, and since they're a flyer, they fly right over the building and right smack dab into the middle of my great swords. So that part's kind of sad, because I was kind of hoping that my great swords would be able to stick it out one more time before they engage combat. So now I got a dragon to deal with. On the right-hand side there, you can see the Everwardens. They charge directly into the Red Company of Halberdiers, so that takes place there. And then, so yeah, that's pretty much charges on this side of the map. As you can see in this picture, Lord Tywin Laenel is basically done with all that steam tank shenanigans, so he decides to just say F it, and he charges right directly into Panzer Baron. So basically, he's taking him down in combat, which is kind of scary because with the Ogre Blade, that puts up Tywin Laenel up to a strength 6, which puts him on equal par with the toughness of my steam tank, which means with his 5 attacks, he has a 50-50 chance of inflicting some wounds. So if I'm not careful, Tywin Laenel will basically put the hurt on Panzer Baron there, so that's kind of sad. As you see in the center there, those archers failed to pass a leadership test again, so they basically flee more towards the center of the board. And that takes us to the middle of the High Elves magic phase. So magic is no joke when it comes to High Elves. Tytos Laenel, he's the level 4 Archmage in this unit. He has a Book of Asher, so that gives him a +1 bonus to cast spells. But because of the special rule with High Elves, they also get additional +1 bonus to cast spells as well. That basically turns this mage into level 6. So what he does, he casts Uncaged Forging on my Archlector, inflicts a wound on him, and destroys his armor with Meteoric Iron. And then he also sends another Soul Quelch Fireball spell right into the middle of my Rommel's Rangers and kill the last 4 remaining Rangers, who basically kill his Illyrian Reavers. So that is the magic phase on this one, and I was unable to stop any of those spells. It was rough. Rolling up against this level 6, that is no joke. And that takes us directly into the middle of the combat phase.
Give them nothing, but take from them everything!
And the second reign of Kalador proves no use against the power that is Hans Jaeger and his Pegasus Königswinter. And we just basically send that bad boy right back to hell. So we destroyed that unit completely. So that was the combat on this part when it came to the tower.
I gotta sing the Doom song now! Doom, 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 doom,
And that's right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the Doom Song. Tywin Laenel inflicts 4 wounds, 2 more wounds on top of my steam tank, the Panzer Baron. It drops him down to 5 wounds. And it was kind of scary how quickly those wounds were basically dropped. I tried to armor save each of them, but his strength 6 was bumping up my armor save to 4 up, so it was bad. So because of that, Lord Tywin is no joke. My engineer basically tries to pop off a couple of shots with his handgun and tries to stab him with his scepter, but proves to be no use against the High Elves' higher weapon skill. So because of that, we're deadlocked because I'm unbreakable, but still, this guy is whittling away my wounds like it's nobody's business. And this picture is definitely a sad day indeed. That one lone archer, the lone archer, he who stood alone against a field of broken bodies and refused to die, he finally falls. I mean, in the end, he was taking on an entire unit of Phoenix Guard by himself, so it was only a matter of time before he did die. I was kind of sad to see this guy go. I mean, he did a really good job holding up that unit for a while, so that was kind of nice. So kudos to him. So the Phoenix Guard basically gets done killing the remaining guy that gets left over. They kind of combat reform and kind of turn in such a way to kind of face whatever's coming their way. So that's what happened in this picture. And in this picture, oh my god, this picture, the dragon manages to inflict 6 wounds on my guys. At the same time, though, we're able to inflict 2 wounds back on him. So with his charge and his 6 wounds, he basically gets a 7 combat res. Unfortunately for him, he just couldn't get his Thunderstomps in or cause a lot of wounds for whatever reason. I mean, my opponent's dice just abandoned him in this battle. We, in turn, with our 2 wounds, our Battle Standard Bearer bonus, our regular standard bonus as well as our rank bonus. Our rank bonus gets doubled though because of our Griffin banner. So because of that, we beat this guy by 1. We beat him by 1 point. And Rosum Imperium fail their leadership role, so they go and they flee. Now, because my magic banner, even though it doubles my rank bonuses, means I can't really pursue when my opponent tries to flee. However, my detachment, the blue company, can freely pursue as much as they want to. So because of that, the blue company pursues Rosum Imperium as well. They roll like a 3 to get away. My guys roll like a 5. So because of that, we overrun and we cut a dragon down as it's trying to run away from a band of halberdiers. So that was just freaking outstanding. So, yeah, well done. Well done, great swords. Well done, halberdiers against a dragon mage. So, one in the books.
A minor setback, girl. We'll be home in no time. I'll just wait until the skin grows back on my eyeballs.
And this picture basically shows me why you should never engage high elves with Empire unless you're attacking to a 2-to-1 ratio, which means you're outnumbering your opponent 2-to-1, and you're attacking from 2 different sides. Those white lions, man, I think I only killed like 1 white lion, I think, in that entire combat. The white lions managed to wipe out half of my red company of halberdiers, so, I mean, those guys are holding in kind of strong, but man, those guys just went hi-hoing right to town on those guys, and just like swung for the fences and chopped half that unit to pieces, so I'm going to have to start making some moves real quick, probably sending the blue company to flank that unit of white lions here a little bit in order to provide support. Because the Empire guys, unless you're attacking at 2-to-1 odds, you're not really much doing anything. So these next few shots are kind of showing you how the entire battlefield looks like from a distance, so that we can get an idea of what's going on overall. So left-hand side here, you can still see Blitzen is still surviving the cannon. It's turned that way because I tried to shoot at the Dragon Mage earlier, but I missed my shot on that one, so that's the reason why it's turned that way. In the center of that picture there, you have Panzer Baron fighting Tywin Lanel, so they're stuck there. Up at the top of the tower, you have Hauptmann Hans Jaeger as well as Konisbender. In the center of the board, you have the last remaining 3 archers who are fleeing, and on the right-hand side, you can see my unit of Knights, the Vagrant Brotherhood, trying to march into that town to provide support for my greatswords. And this picture, you kind of see what's going on the right-hand side in the town. The Phoenix Guard in the center, trying to get into position to charge my great swords. We have my red and blue companies kind of contending with the white lions on the right-hand side. And as you can see on the left-hand side, you can see my knights kind of trying to wheel around into the center of the town, so that way they can attack the Phoenix Guard from the rear. So these are the pictures that kind of show you what's going on in the battlefield overall. And that brings us to the beginning of Empire turn number 3 with the movement phase. As you see in this picture, Hans Jaeger and Koenigswinter, they charge right into the rear of Tywin Lanel to kind of help out Panzer Barons. That way they can deal with this High Elf Lord together instead of fighting one by one. So that's moving on this side of the board. Alright, in this picture, the Black Company basically charges forward and to meet up the Phoenix Guard there in the center. And as you can see on the right-hand side, the Blue Company also charges into the flank of the White Lions in order to bring that combat to a swift and speedy conclusion. And in this picture, you can see there, the Vagrant Brotherhood basically wheels around and also marches down the center of the town. So basically, now I got a really good position to get that Phoenix Guard unit into a pincer attack and to basically seal a deal with the 2 units fighting into each other. And that takes us to the top of the magic phase. As you can see in this picture, Gregor von Drachenfels the Grim manages to cast Shield of Faith, giving my great swords a +5 ward save. Everything else I try to cast, however, Titus manages to dispel everything else, so that was kind of sad. But, you know, that's magic phase in this picture. And since shooting doesn't really exist in this phase because everything is basically in a hand-to-hand combat or it can't be shot at, we go right into the combat phase. As you can see here, my Black Company goes into combat against the Phoenix Guards. We managed to kill 6 apiece. So even though we managed to kill 6 apiece, my double rank bonuses due to the Phoenix, the Griffin banner, as well as my charge on this one, actually let me win. So I actually win by 3 on this one, so I win combat. Unfortunately for me, though, the Phoenix Guard managed to stay. They don't break, so I make a quick combat reform and organize my Black Company into column formation so that way they could get double rank bonuses again, because I'm kind of seeing this battle as being a kind of a long, drawn-out one. On the right-hand side here, the White Lions kill 6, and we ended up killing 2. They killed 2 members of the Blue Company and 4 members of the Black Company. We killed 2 White Lions. With all bonuses, we still lose by 1, but we managed to stick it out, though. Combat on this side of the board doesn't do very well. Once again, I apologize for the blurriness of this picture. Basically, Panzer Baron takes another wound off of the attacks that Tywin Lanel inflicts on him, but we also managed to inflict wound back on him because of Hans Jaeger and Königswinter, who basically direct all their attacks on him from behind. So, unfortunately for me, though, combat's basically a draw, even though with all the bonuses and stuff, so ends up we're not going anywhere in this battle. And with that, that takes us to the beginning of High Elves turn number 4. For the movement phase, not really much happens here, except that the archers are continuing to flee forward. If they keep on fleeing the pace that they're going with, they'll run right into Panzerbjorn and take a dangerous terrain test, so that'll be kind of nice. Magic and shooting are non-existent, so because that, we go straight into combat. And when we get into combat, I spend steam points to shoot the steam gun and roll a misfire. I do an emergency event, and even though I do the emergency event, I manage to kill off Tywin Lanel with steam because I get 2d6 strength 2 hits on my opponent. And it's kind of funny because, you know, high elves are are toughness 3, so because of that, they basically die off. And because of the same time that their general died, those archers have to take another panic test, and they flee in the opposite direction they were going, away from Panzerbjorn. So because of that, I kind of rotate Panzerbjorn to get ready to go. I do a swift reform with Hans Jaeger and Königswinter, and they move up 10 inches to start helping out the flank for my Black Company troops. And I have to apologize for this picture. This picture was taken after the movement phase for Empire turn number 4, but you're going to get an idea of exactly what happened in this combat. The White Lions managed to kill the Red Company down to a man, so 1 man, so basically all those troops are basically dead. We managed to kill off 2 more in the Blue Platoon as a Blue Company as well, so lose 2 more men in that. So combat's still going strong with that one. The Phoenix Guard, on the other hand, killed 8 of my Black Company troops, and we kill 5 in return. We win due to rank bonuses, but the Phoenix Guard managed to stick it out. And that brings us to the top of Empire turn number 4. And with the Empire turn number 4, as you can see in this picture, the Vacant Brotherhood basically charges into the rear of the Phoenix Guard. So now I have that unit in a pincer attack, and that's exactly where I want them to have. And this picture, as you can see, the steam tank basically rumbles forward a little bit. Doesn't go very far, but by about 4 inches. Manages to catch into the unit, that fleeing unit of archers, and runs them over to the man and crushes them beneath its iron wheels. And Hans Jaeger and Königswinter basically march again to the edge of the town, so that way they can kind of do a flank charge this next turn into the flank of the Phoenix Guard. And with that, we enter the magic phase. Most of my spells are dispelled this time, but I managed to get off Flesh to Stone on my Black Company, so now my Great Swords are now at toughness 7, so that's definitely going to help out in the next round combat. And since there's no shooting, we go straight into combat.
Give them nothing, but take from them everything!
And ends up being a massacre. They managed to kill 2 of my troops because of toughness 7, but I managed to kill 9 of theirs in return, and with standards, BSB, double ranks, rear charge, and a charge, I beat them by 15. They need Snake Eyes in order to stay put, and they fail. They try to break, and I pursue with the Brotherhood as well as my Brotherhood, and we catch them and we kill the unit to the man. And with that, French Prince Bel-Air surrenders, and that brings us to the end of the game. So here's a picture of the board after the battle is finished. As you can see there, I still have my steam tank, my cannon. I have Hans Jaeger as well as Königswinter. I still have my Blue Company as well as my Black Swords. I'm not sure my Black Swords, my Black Company Great Swords, as well as the Vacant Brotherhood of my characters. And even though we have those White Lions left on the side, my opponent knows he can't win. So that brings us to the end of the game and a victory for Commander CheapSkate. So with that, we go on to the after action.
Sure, I could have stayed in the past. Could have even been king. But in my own way, I am king. Hail to the king, baby.
Alright, so now it's time for the after action report. This is the part of the show where we talk about what went well, what went poorly, and what we can learn for the next time we fight in the battle. So in the end, this ended up being a victory for yours truly, for Commander CheapSkate. So I won, which is kind of nice. A couple of lessons I learned from this battle. First of all, I underestimated the power of bolt throwers and its effect it would have on my Panzerbaron on my steam tank. I did not see that coming whatsoever, and I totally forgot about the negation of armor saves whenever that thing takes a single shot at you. So because of that, won't be making that same mistake again. That actually terrified me. I thought I was having images of the Panzerbjorn being shot to pieces by bolt throwers when we got into combat. With this army build, it basically uses the Griffin formation tactic, which was created by Holy Hand Grenade of the Warhammer.empire.com message boards. And basically, it was his tactic invention that he created, and it uses a lot of redirectors. And I really like using that. I'm digging the Griffin formation as a tactic, It makes my units very maneuverable and a lot of movement for my large infantry army, so I really like the way it's working out. That lone archer, however, the one that tied up the Phoenix Guard for all the entire turn on his own, he was the MVP of the game. That tough SOB saved the entire army and it secured the victory for me because it bought me enough time to position my black company away so that way I can get a position, and the Vega Brother was able to make its rear charge into that Phoenix Guard unit. So because of that, really happy about that lone archer. Definitely saved me the game. Magic, on the other hand, was really low in this battle. I basically rolled a lot of 3s and a lot of 4s for my power dice totals for this one. The high elves just dominated on the magic, but it wasn't really a factor too much. Even though my opponent was using Lore of High Magic and had the Book of Asher basically turn his mage into level 6, wasn't that much of a bad deal. I thought with 2 mages I was able to pretty much get things taken care of. Fresh Prince Belair, man, he was just failing his combat rolls for some random reason, and so because of that, Rosen Laenel Imperium, which was the Dragon Mage of Keldor, that guy got defeated quick, and that was a huge game changer, especially when he fled. He was run down by my higher halberdiers. That kind of basically secured that victory for me, because otherwise my black swords will be, my black company would still be engaged with the dragon, so those great swords wouldn't be able to do anything, so that was kind of nice. And pretty much I like the buffs with this build. I mean, this army basically has everything to kind of cover all of its weaknesses. Both of my major hand-to-hand combat units, they both get hatred. Both those units get Hollow the Line because they have arch electors as well as captains of those units. I get rerolls for the hatred every single time I lose. I get massive amounts of supporting attacks because of all the stuff that I have. There's redirection with archers and maneuverability, and I really like this build. Everything in this army basically is built to support everything else, which is key in an Empire army because we're humans, and so because of that, nothing is strong enough to take anything on its own. So I really like the synergy with this army. I like how it kind of supports each other and how all the units basically help each other out because, like I said before, nothing can fight on its own in an Empire army. It needs backup. So really satisfied with this army, really satisfied with the build. I'm really liking the tactics that I'm using. And in this battle report, both armies are painted, so it looked really cool with the really nice terrain that we have set up. So definitely an improvement on that one. So yeah, that pretty much sums up for this battle report. On to the next one. Bye.